Yo guys, what is good and welcome back on the channel. Now in this video we're gonna review Synth Palace Vintage from Prod by Jack and Alice Lost. I'm giving my 100% honest opinion on what I think about this kit and if you should actually get it. This is what the sales page looks like. And then down here you have like the breakdown of the actual cost, and you have Vintage Essentials, which is the base kit with around 1500 sounds. There's Vintage Deluxe, which is like the extension, I would call it, to the base kit with another 1500 sounds. And then there's Vintage Bonus, which is the bonus kit that's inside here, and this has over 2000 sounds, so it's almost as big as the other two combined. These bonuses are only available to people that were on the waiting list. For people that were on the waiting list, the price for the whole kit, for all the three kits together, is $57. So you can't get them individually, it's just the whole bundle: Vintage Essentials, Vintage Deluxe, and Vintage Bonuses. And that makes up for like, I don't know, 5,000 and something sounds. But I suppose that once this thing goes live and for public release, Vintage Essentials, like just the base kit, is going to be somewhere around this price, just like $57. And then the deluxe version will be available as an upgrade separately and be like another, like, I don't know, 20 or 30 euros. I also gotta tell you that I reached out to Alice Lost asking him to send over the kit, so he was kind enough to do so. I'm gonna give him my 100% honest opinion. There is stuff I don't like about this multi-kit, and I'm gonna talk about this as well. So yeah, not sponsored or anything, just wanna let you know that I got sent this kit for free and I didn't purchase it with my own money. But now let's talk about the concept of the kit. You have Vintage Essentials, and these are essentially 8 folders, each for a single synthesizer. And inside each of these folders you have one-shots, phrases, and melody layers. And this is the familiar way of organizing things inside the kits of Alice and Jack. So one-shots are basically just simple synth shots, something like bass shots and keys or leads. And then the phrases are like little accents that you can add on top of a melody just to spice it up a little bit. And the melody layers are like full 4-bar loops that you can add on top of melodies that maybe have a chord progression, maybe have like a real melody, not just these little accents. And this continues for like every single one of them synths. Some also have these ARP loops and phrases, which are basically also phrases and loops, but are just, you know, from the ARP. And as you can see, there's so many sounds in here. I'm not gonna play you even like one from every folder because it's just too many. And then with Vintage Deluxe, it's a little bit different. It's organized more like, for example, in the Essence of Trap, where you have the one-shots, phrases, and melody layers like all separately and not organized by synth, but like, you know, just inside one folder for all the synths. And then you also have this textures and effects folder, which has like cool textures from the synths that you can add onto melody. I think you get the idea. And then you also have these synth lines, and these are basically the raw recorded materials that all the other, you know, melody layers and stuff are made out of. And these are not really ready to be dragged in and, you know, easy to be used, but they're actually meant to be chopped up and cut, and, you know, you can just go in there and find accent, phrases, melody layers that you can use. And then we have the bonus folder, and this one is super crazy, and I doubt that they are gonna take this one offline after the initial sale goes offline, because you have this drum machine library which contains loops as well as one-shots from like old school drum machines. So really cool to add like a percussion loop, background textures, or, you know, just to have like some drum machine one-shots. And then you have a Mellotron preset bank that works within the Mellotron plugin, and you also have multi-key presets for Analog Lab, which you can import there. I'm going to show you them in the Cookup section. And then you have the Moog library, which basically would have fit into like, you know, the Vintage Essentials part, because it's organized exactly the same way. You have like melody layers, one-shots, phrases, but it's just, you know, moved out onto the bonus folder. The same goes for the sequential library as well, also has one-shots, phrases, melody layers. And then something that's super cool, I think, is this raw synth one-shot library. In here you have all the different synths, and you have just random one-shots that probably didn't fit into the full kit. Just look at this. There's so many freaking sounds in here. It's insane. I can't imagine how long it took to actually chop up all the samples and record all of this, but anyways, there it is. Now, if you're not familiar with these types of kit, they're super easy to use because everything is tuned to the scale of C or C minor. This way, when you have like a melody layer, you can just drag and drop another melody layer on top, and they're instantly gonna fit together because they're at the same key. And same with the phrases and one-shots. So it's super easy to combine these different sounds in order to, you know, make a melody out of it. And that's exactly what I did. And I'm gonna break down 2 melodies I did with this kit and share a little bit of the thoughts I had when I cooked this up. So I believe I started off with this layer. And then I added this plug layer on top, which is like a melody layer. Played in this bass. As you can see, I used one of the bass one-shots as well as like an equalizer. And then I also added in this like texture from the Vintage Deluxe pack. And then I also dragged in this drum loop, which gives like this whole pulsing effect. And so this is the whole analog lap bank, has 60 presets, a little bit of everything. So, you know, everything from bass to keys to leads. And this is what it sounds like. I also added in this phrase that I chopped up. So that's what the whole thing sounds like together. And then for the B part, I just took out a few of them elements and added this accent. Now, to be honest, when I cooked up, I didn't really like the kit. Even though the final loop sounds kind of okay, it's nothing wrong with that. Definitely can make a beat out of this. I opened up this whole thing and I was like, man, this is crazy. This is the best kit they ever released. The biggest, definitely, but also the best. I thought that because I knew something like the Essence of Trap, which is to this day probably my favorite kit from Prop by Jack. It has the same concept and the sounds are all super high quality, easy to layer, everything works perfect. And that's why I thought it would be the same for this as well. I did this loop and I went on and I did the second one. So this is what that sounds like. So as you can see, super simple, straight to the point. This is the first sound. And then I layered these keys underneath, which, by the way, I had to manually chop up because, you know, they didn't quite fit in the original loop. Same with this one. And then I played in the synth line that I then, you know, processed a little bit by half timing it and putting some reverb onto it. And I also added in the bass shot, super hard. And for a B part, I added in this accent. Now, even though the results sound quite good, I didn't really feel inspired when making this melody. And I thought about, you know, how good it felt when I had the Essence of Trap. And I was like, man, the sounds are not as high quality. And I was like, yeah, let me just make a melody with the Essence of Trap. Just to prove the point that Synth Palace Vintage is not as good as something like the Essence of Trap. And I felt the same way. I was like, man, this sucks. I don't like it. Like, it works and like the melody is okay, but I could have achieved exactly the same thing with Synth Palace Vintage. And from there I questioned like myself. I was like, am I not feeling inspired? Like, what is wrong with me? Now, when I think about why I preferred the Essence of Trap over, you know, Synth Palace Vintage or even Synth Palace 3, which I recently reviewed as well, I came to the conclusion that this virtuoso part that you have in the Essence of Trap, so these are like phrases from like real belts and keys and strings, that this made a really big difference because I really like to combine analog synth sounds and, you know, like digital sounds, so to say, electronic sounds with real instruments and real sound. And once I limited the use of the essence of trap to just the analog and pedal folder, so you know, cutting out live instruments, I felt like the same way about this kit as I felt about like all the other Synth Palace kits. This brought me to the conclusion that like Vintage Essentials and Vintage Deluxe, they're evenly as good as all the other kits. They just have a shit ton of more sounds, which makes it probably a lot better value. Now with that being said, I think it's time to cook up another beat with this. So let's check out a few of these sounds. Something I feel like with the kit is that a lot of the melodies, they're like almost too complex to use them as layers, because each of them has a more complex melody and chords and stuff. So you can use them like as a top line, but you can't use them to build really a foundation for your track. Maybe grab like a key sound. Really like put this reverb intensity from a 2-year on these synth sounds. Yeah, something like this. And now grab a bass one shot, maybe from like the Vintage Deluxe part. Oh yeah, this sounds fat. Quantize it. Yeah, having this one like go around in the pan could sound really cool, so I'm just gonna add like this auto panner preset. Maybe we speed this up to like 130. And that's what I'm talking about. Like for example, this one, it isn't stretching to time like perfectly, and I'm not sure why that is. If it's because like Ableton is not smart enough to detect like the right tempo, or if because like the sound is not really like cut to tempo the way it should be. And maybe we find like another like melody layer or accent that is just a little bit more ambient. So let's actually go into Vintage Deluxe and go to phrases and then go to ambient phrases. And then we can just do some super hard trap drums on this, and it's gonna slap, I think. Maybe we select a different sound. Yeah, this sound definitely needs to be like a switch or something. Definitely gonna keep that. maybe speed this up to like 135. And add a kick to the second part. This sounds good, so just you just gotta cut out the hi-hat every time this other 8/8 hits. Alright, so I think we're done with the beat. This is what we ended up with. To round up this video, I want to tell you my personal feelings about this kit and what I like and what I don't like and who this kit is actually made for. So things I like, the amount of sounds is super crazy, the amount of quality sounds is also really a ton, and there's just, you know, so much stuff you can dive into, especially if you have vintage essentials and vintage deluxe. But I think if they are going to be sold separately, even the vintage essentials model is already going to be worth that price of like $57. Also, it's just crazy to have access to the sounds of these real synths. Most of these sounds are useful. I still really like the concept of, you know, phrases and melody layers. And with things I don't really like, it's probably that a lot of these sounds are not as high quality and that you could probably have condensed down this kit to like 2,000 sounds that are super high quality, all 100% ready to be used. I can understand why they didn't do that, because, you know, it just sells better when you have more sounds and when the numbers are big. And these really good sounds are still in there. You just gotta dig a little bit deeper to find them, actually. With all that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one. Bye.